It appears that personal drama and a family scandal of White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt has now spilled out into the public in a very big way, involving her nephew, her nephew's mother, and ICE, believe it or not. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, folks, the genesis of this story is a couple of weeks old, and I didn't know if we were going to talk about it all that much because it seemed at the time to me more personal drama for Karoline Leavitt than politics, but I think at this point we can safely say it's both. The Venn diagram between these two is effectively a circle. So let's dive in. ICE detainee Bruna Ferreira, mom of Karoline Leavitt's nephew, said she, quote, made a mistake in, quote, trusting Trump's White House secretary. Bruna Ferreira, the mother of White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt's nephew, said she made a mistake by trusting her in-laws after she was arrested by ICE and cast by the administration as a, quote, criminal and absent parent. She was arrested on November 12th by ICE and faces deportation to Brazil after overstaying a visa from when she was a child in 1998. Her arrest was captured on video as multiple unmarked SUVs surrounded her car. She shares an 11-year-old son with Michael Leavitt, Karoline Leavitt's brother, and she claimed, in an exclusive interview with the Washington Post from a detention center in Louisiana on Sunday that at one point she even asked Leavitt to be her son's godmother. Well, you want to talk about definitely a misjudge of character. I mean, this Karoline Leavitt is a profoundly cruel and vicious person. So you definitely misread the room there. But let's dive into this exclusive Washington Post reporting. In an interview, Bruna Ferreira, who chose the White House press secretary as her son's godmother, contested the portrayal of her as a criminal absentee mom. From her confinement in a remote destination center in Louisiana, she recounted all the ways she has tried to maintain a friendly relationship with the family of White House press secretary Karoline Leavitt. After all, Ferreira shares a child with Leavitt's brother. The Brazilian immigrant selected Leavitt to be her son's godmother. She signed off on her son's trip to the White House Easter egg hunt this spring, and she said she, quote, moved mountains to ensure he could attend Leavitt's wedding in January. Arrested November 12th by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Ferreira, 33, said it's insulting to sit in an orange prison scrubs facing possible removal to Brazil after spending most of her life in the United States, while the Trump administration paints her as a criminal. She's being detained for being in the United States illegally, a civil violation, after overstaying her visa when she was a child. Quote, I asked Karoline to be godmother over my only sister, she said in Thursday in an video interview with the Washington Post. Quote, I made a mistake there in trusting. Why they're creating this narrative is beyond my wildest imagination. And I'll be honest with you, when I first read that sentence, I was kind of confused there because I thought she meant godmother. Wait, you're trying to make her your sister's godmother? No, she means she has a sister, an only sister, and rather than ask her sister to be her son's godmother, she asked Leavitt instead. Since her arrest, the White House media office has portrayed Ferreira as an absentee mother who had not been in Karoline Leavitt's orbit in years. The White House issued a statement that Ferreira had not spoken to Leavitt in years and that Ferreira had never lived with her son. The White House also shared a Department of Homeland Security statement that called Ferreira a criminal with a previous arrest for, quote, battery, although it has not responded to repeated requests for supporting documentation. Court records, family photos, and Ferreira's account tell a different story. So let's stop right there. It's very important to understand. It is entirely possible. It's possible the White House happens to be correct here, right? I don't know Bruna Ferreira. I have no idea. Is it possible that what they're saying is true? Yes. But two things I would point out. Number one, it's a big red flag that they have not responded to repeated requests for supporting documentation. So they're making a claim without evidence. And it's also a second big red flag that there are court records, family photos, and a personal account from the person herself that contradict the story. So right now, at the time of this recording, there is more evidence which contradicts the Trump administration and Karoline Leavitt than supports it. So two red flags. But the third thing I'll point out is this. Under no circumstances are you or I obligated to take the Trump administration or Karoline Leavitt at their word. We're just not obligated to do so. These people are pathological liars, the likes of which we have never seen in a presidential administration. Your default setting, in my opinion, certainly it's my default setting, is if it leaves the Trump administration's mouth, it's probably, on the balance of probability, a lie. If the Trump administration told me this morning the sun came up, under normal circumstances, I would never doubt that. But if Donald Trump or Karoline Leavitt said, hey, the sun rose this morning, I would go to the window to check, like, Okay. You just shouldn't trust them. But let's get back to the story here. Ferreira said she met Michael Leavitt at a nightclub. They fell in love, got engaged, and had a child living together in New Hampshire. The relationship fell into turmoil, and instead of marrying, they broke up in 2015. Through the years, they've shared caregiving responsibilities for their son, now 11, according to Ferreira, and this is a big one, court documents. While it's not uncommon for the White House and DHS to make disparaging statements about undocumented immigrants, Ferreira said she was offended by the remarks. Her son is 11, and she said she sees that side of the family frequently while visiting the boy or cheering him on at school or in sports. Karoline Leavitt, who Ferreira said was once like a younger sister to her, is among the most vociferous, that's one word for it, champions of Donald Trump's campaign to deport millions of immigrants. Ferreira's arrest before Thanksgiving drew nationwide attention because of her connection to Karoline Leavitt and prompted questions about why she was targeted. A longtime resident of Massachusetts, Ferreira came to the United States in 1998 at age 6 to join her parents after being raised by her grandmother in Brazil. At one point, she faced possible deportation, but in 2012, she became eligible for an Obama-era program for undocumented immigrants who arrived as children. This year, as part of the Trump administration's mass deportation campaign, they restarted her deportation case, according to Ferreira's lawyers. Most of her family has legal status, but Ferreira has not been able to complete that process, her lawyers said. Ferreira said the White House's claims that she had never lived with her child are, quote, disgusting and false. Before her arrest, she said her schedule consisted of work, managing cleaning and clothing businesses, going to yoga class, and spending time with her son. She said she takes him to Dave & Buster's, drives him to school, cheers at his sports games, and stocks his bedroom with teddy bears, video games, and his boxing gloves, quote, everything a young boy needs. Again, worth noting, the White House did not respond to requests for comment on the discrepancies between their descriptions of Ferreira and the court records. DHS has not explained why Ferreira was arrested when the administration says it's focused on detaining violent criminals. Her lawyers contend the video indicates officers were specifically out in search of Ferreira when they detained her. Ferreira's lawyer, Todd Pomerlau, said she has no criminal record. He says DHS may be alluding to a 2008 incident when she was summoned to juvenile court after a fight with another girl outside of Dunkin' Donuts over $8. Okay. The drama continues. He said Ferreira was never arrested and this case was dismissed because it was in juvenile court. He said it was not a criminal matter and was supposed to be confidential. She was 16 years old at the time. Again, this doesn't seem like something that comes remotely close to meriting a deportation. But let's continue. Michael Leavitt, 35, echoed the White House's allegation that she'd never lived with her son in text messages last week with the Post. But in court records he filed in New Hampshire in 2015, he wrote that they shared a home and listed them at the same address. So he's either lying now or he was lying to the court in 2015. Which is it, Michael? Do you share your sister's tendency towards dishonesty? Is it genetic? Ferreira also mentioned that their shared condo in a 2014 newspaper article after Leavitt won a $1 million playing fantasy football. He did not respond to questions about the discrepancy. So that's also a bit glaring. Hey, asshole, we catch a discrepancy here, suggesting you're either lying now or you were lying then. What about that? New phone, who dis, right? Leavitt is a former high school star athlete, is married, and helps run his family's used car and truck business in New Hampshire. Ferreira's legal status had long been a point of contention in her relationship with Leavitt. After they broke up, she said in court records that Leavitt had in the past threatened to try to get her deported. That's not good. In the text messages, Leavitt denied seeking to have Ferreira deported. Quote, I had no involvement in her being picked up by ICE, he wrote Wednesday to the Post. Quote, I have no control over that and had no involvement in that whatsoever. Ferreira says he and his father, Bob Leavitt, have in recent weeks told her sister that Ferreira, quote, should self-deport and should try to return legally, a move her lawyers say would be disastrous. Under federal law, Ferreira would be barred from coming back to the U.S. for a decade. Bob Leavitt did not respond to requests for comment. It's a trap, her lawyer said. Ferreira said she dreamed of attending Harvard Law School and becoming a lawyer when she was younger, but because she was in the country illegally, she had far fewer opportunities than her younger brother and sister, who were born in the U.S. Eventually, she was able to get a work permit through DACA, the 2012 permit, which also temporarily protected recipients from removal. After graduating from high school, she started 2 businesses, a cleaning service and a Brazilian bikini shop called Poor Little Rich Girl. She married her high school sweetheart, but that relationship was unraveling when she met Leavitt. Leavitt is from a close-knit family with deep roots in New Hampshire. He also had legal issues. He was charged twice in New Hampshire with underage alcohol possession, resulting in a fine and then a guilty plea to a downgraded town ordinance violation. In 2009, at 19, he was found guilty of drunken driving and fined $620. In 2011, Miami Beach Police arrested him for disorderly conduct, alleging that he and another man were fighting in the middle of the street, stopping traffic. The charges were dropped, court records show. So let's stop right there. If they're going to start throwing mud at her, she's got plenty of mud to throw back at him. Sounds like he's a lot dirtier than she is with respect to crime and criminal violations. So he probably shouldn't be throwing stones in this glass house. Leavitt said he's been the more consistent and responsible parent in his son's life and accused the Post in a text message of, quote, trying to use this whole situation to push a narrative to smear me. Leavitt answered questions by text message and did not answer calls or respond to requests to speak by telephone. And it goes on into the deeper history there. In court, Ferrer and Leavitt traded allegations of abuse and neglect. In April 2015, she sought primary custody of their son in a New Hampshire court. Leavitt did, alleging that Ferrer had pushed Leavitt during an argument when the couple took a trip to Florida. He said she returned home without him, collected their son from his grandparents, and threatened to take him with her to Brazil. She denied these claims and in court filings accused Leavitt of abuse, saying on the day of her baby shower he had drunkenly pushed her, punched walls, and broken doors. After he won the $1 million, she alleged in court that he cheated on her and gambled away thousands of dollars. Ferrer's lawyer said in a May 2015 court filing that Leavitt also, quote, threatened to contact immigration in an effort to have her deported. Leavitt's denied these allegations. Over the past decade, and a series of judges have ordered the couple to share custody and resolve their differences outside of court. In April 2020, Ferreira returned to court alleging Leavitt owed her thousands of dollars in child support and was refusing to let her spend time with her son. She also wrote that Leavitt had, quote, used intimidation based on her, quote, immigration status to discourage her from visiting the boy. Leavitt denied those allegations in court. Days later, a family court judge ordered Leavitt to share custody, as was required by the parenting plan. In 2021, they agreed that their son would live with his father during the week while he attended school in New Hampshire. She would visit and take him home with her most weekends, court records show. So again, there's court documentation substantiating at least most of her claims, from what we can tell from the reporting. She also had permission to take him to Brazil during summer vacation and to secure dual citizenship for him there, court filings show. In 2022, he said that in a text message to the Post, in a text last week to the Post, he says in 2022 that she was investigated for neglect by the Massachusetts Department of Health and Human Services. They declined to comment because such cases are confidential. State records show that Ferreira at first struggled with unemployment. Her son was enrolled in Mass Health at one point, an insurance program for low-income residents. According to police reports, she called authorities in June 2022, saying her mother had picked up Ferreira's son from a babysitter without her permission. Police allege Ferreira's mother told them she was worried about the conditions and that Ferreira had left him with strange men. She turned him over to Leavitt's father. Police records allege that Ferreira had been living in squalor in a once stately mansion in the coastal town of Massachusetts. Officers said they found rotten food in the fridge, trash piled up, and only sunrooms had electricity and running water. That's not good. Ferreira told police that she'd taken a job as a caretaker in the house with broken windows and doors in exchange for free rent. She said she left her son in the care of a friend while she went on a job interview. Police said they did not file charges against her, and that she said they could leave the child with his grandmother. In an interview with the Post, Ferreira's mother denied telling the police she was worried about her grandson. Okay, well, there's that. She said she had gone to check on him out of an abundance of caution because her daughter had struggled to find childcare and left him with a friend that Villarino did not know. That's the mother, or the grandmother, I should say. She took the boy to McDonald's and then arranged to drop him off with his grandfather. In the interview from ICE detention, Ferreira described the incident as, quote, a big misunderstanding at the time, and she just left a relationship and her life was in flux. Leavitt said in a text message that the episode was, quote, pretty frightening stuff, and that an example of concerns about leaving his sons in Ferreira's care. Bob Leavitt, his father, did not respond to requests for comment, but Ferreira said her home life is more stable now. She's in a solid relationship and lives in a safe home for her son. All right, there's that. Leavitt did not raise the incident in their New Hampshire custody case, and her visitation rights were unchanged. So again, it's not like he tried to chase this. Via text, Leavitt said he wants Ferreira to have access to their son. Quote, I want my son to have a relationship with his mother, as I always have shown that. That would be difficult if Ferreira's moved from the country, her lawyer said. Yeah, no shit. Ferreira said she dropped her son off at school in New Hampshire. She was arrested that afternoon on November 12th when she said she was leaving to pick him up. Quote, the thought of my son waiting for me at the school car pickup line and having no one to be there for him is the thing that I keep replaying in my head, she said, wiping away tears. Quote, it's just very unfortunate that this is the way things have transpired. Afterwards, she said, I shuttled her like, quote, cattle to Vermont, Philadelphia, Texas, and finally to Louisiana, where she spends her days surrounded by hundreds of other women facing deportation. After Telemundo, a Spanish-language TV station, broadcast her case, she said detainees peppered her with questions about her relationship to Karoline Leavitt. Quote, "Why are you here? Did she put you here?" she said they asked, referring to Leavitt. Quote, "Did she not like you?" Quote, "Your guess is as good as mine," she said she responds. Barrera said she's always admired Leavitt's drive and success. Quote, "Obviously, we're not BFFs and we're not FaceTiming," she said. Quote, "But she rejected the depictions of a non-existent relationship." Barrera said she could not recall when last they spoke, but said she met Leavitt's now husband as is constantly in the family's orbit because of their son. Her lawyer, Pomerleau, said it is false that they've not spoken in years. A video of her arrest obtained by TMZ shows her pulling out of a parking lot in front of her home in the Boston suburb of Revere when 4 unmarked SUVs surrounded the car and prevented her vehicle from leaving. Officers surrounded her and they quickly led her away in handcuffs. She said that she was driving a borrowed car and that Bob and Michael Leavitt were among a handful of people who knew her schedule and where she lived, but she does not know whether they had any role in what happened. She said her mind often wanders to that morning when she drove her son to school and he lingered in the car beside her. He told her, quote, "Mom, just 5 more minutes." "No, honey," she recalled saying, and pressed him to get into class on time. Now she wishes she let him stay. She said she's been unable to speak with him since then, despite multiple attempts to reach him through Michael Leavitt, who did not respond to her questions about her calls. Quote, "He needs me right now, tucking him into bed and taking him shopping for Christmas," she said. "He doesn't need me in 20 years. He needs me now." So sounds like they're keeping her from contacting her son, which is really sad. So there you have it, folks. Again, Karoline Leavitt's personal family drama and family scandal has now spilled out into the public. And obviously, she's had a checkered past, according to the reporting, but the husband's had even more of a checkered past, and she has done nothing, according to the reporting, nothing that merits this treatment. And so it begs the question, why and how did this happen? In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.